Hey, everybody. Matt Wallace. I wanted to jump in from a hiatus, do a quick AI every day to talk about the OpenAI announcements that we just saw. So, there's been a mysterious model floating around, popping up on LM Chat Arena, which is a place where you can provide a prompt, get an answer from two different models, and you vote for which one you think is better. There's a model that was showing up as I'm a good GPT-2 chatbot that's been doing very well. And people were speculating it was an updated model. People weren't sure what to call it, maybe GPT-5 from OpenAI. It was doing really well. It turns out it was GPT4o, and OpenAI announced that today. They are releasing it. It is going to be at an API level, twice as fast, half the cost versus the previous GPT-4 Turbo model. Now, what's interesting is some of their team shared on social media some ELO ratings. ELO is the rating system that's used in chess. Right? You basically score points when you beat an opponent. You lose points when you lose. And ELO is really interesting because when people are tightly matched, it becomes very difficult to really pull away from an ELO perspective. Because if you are rated higher and you lose to a lower rated opponent, you lose more points. So with the readings that they're showing coding ability for the new GPT-4o model to be 100 points higher versus the competition. Now they were the top of that leaderboard, the GPT-4 Turbo 0409, the model from beginning of April, so just a little over a month old, was actually the winner in that category. There are 15 models though, 15 other models that are within 100 points of that from an ELO perspective. So 4 of those are actually other versions of GPT-4. And then there are 11 other models from folks like Anthropic. Claude Opus is very strong. In fact, I think it's number 2, and it was actually topping the leaderboard for a while. And then a bunch of others. Plus 100 is unbelievable. And it's a little bit like, this is a slight exaggeration, frankly, because his ELO is so high. But I joked that it was like Magnus Carlsen being dropped into a junior high chess championship, because in this world where all these models have been so clustered tightly together, it's completely unbelievable to pull away with that much of a lead. Hopefully I'll provide a little update. I'm on my way to SW2Con. I'm going to be speaking tomorrow about getting from pilot to production with generative AI. Been working a ton on that deck. Been having a lot of fun talking about things. It's a really cool, jazzed up presentation. So I'm excited to be there to do that. So I don't know how much time I'll have, but I have been able to get API access to the new 4.0 model, and I'm starting to kick the tires with it. Certainly, it does seem to be noticeably quicker to me. We'll see how it goes in terms of quality. So really exciting. Now, there are some other very cool updates. They're going to make GPT-4 available freely to all without a subscription, right? That was a pretty big deal. Previously, you could only use 3.5 Turbo if you weren't paying for a subscription. I don't know if that means you're going to use 4.0 and it's going to be rate limited or how they're going to do that. But they had a talk track on benefiting all of humanity. They had some very impressive interactions with the mobile app where they were talking to GPT-4 with audio, video, and imagery. And a couple of the highlights, number one, the tonality of the voice was amazing because they were actually asking it to respond differently. They said, tell me a story. And they were like, be more dramatic. And the voice got more dramatic. And then they were like, no, actually, tell us this in a robot voice. And it was like robot mode engaged. Very cool. They were able to interrupt it. So full duplex conversation. They'd go, no, ChatGPT, do this other thing. And it would stop and then respond immediately. Much more responsive. And if you've used the voice app on mobile, it's actually great for things like driving and so on and so forth. When you want to have a conversation and learn about a topic, it can be very great. But it gets old to be talking to it on mobile and you say something and you hear this click for several seconds while it's like thinking and getting something started. And now it appears that they're going to be able to ameliorate that. Now, I'm a little bit skeptical about anything involving OpenAI being fast because frankly, 4 Turbo is a lot faster when it's on a heavy load. If you're ever using ChatGPT, I was using it, I want to say Monday of this week, or maybe it was Friday, and just asking some normal questions, technology related questions, and having it hang sometimes for 5+ seconds in between tokens, having it go really slowly, like a token every 2 tokens a second, just almost unbearably slow. So I honestly wonder if they can keep up. I just feel like they must just be like trying really hard to buy more GPUs because frankly, it's painful. Interestingly and speculatively, OpenAI introduced a batch processing mode a little while ago. So you can actually submit tons of requests, and there's lots of great use cases for this, where you'll get an answer somewhere between when you submit and 24 hours later, and you pay half the price for that. So OpenAI can use those requests to fill in kind of empty GPU seconds and share that savings with you. It's almost like a spot fleet or something, prompt by prompt. That's really cool. And something I wondered about when I saw how good its ELO rating was on code was, what if you gave it a lot of hard problems and then you put it in front of a sandbox and you had it code solutions and learn from the solutions? There's nothing like working code, right? That's the ultimate of, is it functional? There are other aspects, right? Like code could be functional and not secure. It could be functional and not performant. But a lot of the times you get code and it simply does not work, right? There are errors in terms of syntax and library usage and so on. But if you have a code sandbox and you're thinking if it's private, they could even let it go and install like extra libraries and things. That wouldn't be a hard DevOps thing to coordinate. So if they were able to do that, they could actually have the model give itself coding tasks, learn from actually writing code at a high pace, a lot of parallelism, basically building itself millions or billions of sample use cases where it goes to solve a problem. There are a bunch of really interesting frameworks for generating better code, like reflection with an X and so on, that if you go look at the leaderboard for the human eval results, like raw models get up into the kind of 80% pass at one on human eval, which is already pretty impressive. But I believe that one is up to 94, 97% now when it introduces like some meta knowledge that it can gain from like self-reasoning reflection. When a model fails to do something, has it make an observation about what it did wrong. When they do the human eval test, they're essentially taking its learnings and passing those in, I think, to give it itself some hints, if you will, its future self. OpenAI did that at huge scale across tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of GPUs, using up idle time, et cetera, et cetera. You can imagine they could do some really interesting things in terms of making it better. And maybe that's what happened here. Suffice to say, it's pretty impressive. The real timeness of the dialogue, though, on the app was really impressive. And honestly, it makes me want to go out right now and whip out a Vision Pro app, because I can see walking around and having it give you basically real-time feedback on the world, right? That's what I expected to happen with Vision Pro, honestly, in these models. But we're to the point now where this level of responsiveness and interaction, the context and its ability to do things is going to make that a lot more useful than it would have been previously. Wow, some amazing updates. And at a time when I was getting used to people saying something to the effect of, oh, AI is hitting a ceiling, this is as good as their initial numbers show, it opened up a hell of a gap. This is like getting into grandmaster status. It's interesting to me, of course, too, that this is still GPT4o. It's half the price. It's twice as fast. It's not a GPT-5. And that's still coming. What an exciting time. Anyways, check it out. There's also going to be a desktop app, which is interesting and cool. And it sounded like maybe it was going to be, some part of it was going to be offline, but I don't fully grok that. Might have just been me misinterpreting. So really exciting time. Definitely check it out.